before demons were torturing people in hell, before Christianity swept across the world like an uncontrolled fire, before a book was written that would brainwash all of us, we had the good folk, or the fae. There are many fae, and not all are good. The Sheely court and the unsheely court. But there are those that heed to neither, and roam the land or skies in search of more to add to their numbers. They are the Sluagh. They are most active during the wild hunt, when the unsheely court steals anyone they find away. Their souls become lost for all eternity. But the Sluagh does not play by those rules. They are always looking to add to their hoard and to devour their souls. This is a tale from one of them. Before we begin, my friends, let me invite you to my store. Here you will find shirts and other apparel for your cryptid needs. If you enjoy my videos here, and have not already, consider leaving me a like and subscribe. Come back next week as I will drop a new video then. But now, on to our presentation. My uncle was from Ireland, the Emerald Isle. He was raised on stories of ancient wonder and horror. The one thing he feared the most were the Sluagh, or the flying host. He told me they were the vilest of all creatures. He never believed in heaven or hell, God or Satan. But he believed in good folk, and to stay in their good graces. He had blood in his lungs, and was not going to last much longer. Me and the doctor agreed he should spend his last days at home, where I could take care of him. You see, he raised me from a boy, so I figured this is my way of paying him back. I did love the old man. When we turned home, his face had dried tears on it. He ordered me to always keep the western windows and doors locked, especially at night. He hung crosses, had a Bible open, and would even pray to keep the monsters at bay. That's when the shadows began to be seen. He could see them moving out of the corner of his eyes, and he had strange whispers just out of his line of sight. I never believed in the tales from his Irish home of things in the night flying through the air, ready to consume the soul of anyone they met. How the moon would be blackened out by a massive swarm of what appeared to be birds. The screams that they made when the victim had been found. I mean, come on. They were just stories, right? None of this is real. Or is it? The days began to blend as I took care of my uncle. He claimed to see more shadow people, so much that I thought I saw them too. I even heard voices coming from the darkness. But the worst thing was the smell of rotten meat. Now I tried to find the source, but I never could. One day it was exceptionally hot, so I opened the western-facing window upstairs. I had every intention of closing it that night, but I must have forgotten. The night was clear, with a full and bright moon overhead. The skies had sparkling stars shining in it. A cool breeze blew as I enjoyed the cool night air. Then my uncle screamed. I looked up and realized the west side window is still open. The cool breeze changed as the wind picked up, and laughter was heard. Not from the ground or trees, but the sky. It was a flock of birds so massive that they hid the moon above. Screaming and laughing, they called my uncle's name. I ran inside, thought I closed the door behind me, to the western side of the house. That's where I closed the window above. But these birds were not birds. I knew that. Were they the Sluagh, come from my uncle's soul? I heard a force tear through the front door as a strong wind came into the house. The odor of rotten meat was so strong now, I dared not breathe it in. I placed my hand on my mouth and ran to my uncle's room. Through pitch blackness I made my way through and found him huddled in the corner, crying. That blackness were the shadow people, and they had the scent of death and decay on them. Long, thin black hair hung from their skulls. Their paper skin was so thin, it barely clung to their bones, and they had black cloaks. But as I looked upon them, I realized the cloaks were folded wings instead. Their eyes were like red flames, and they whispered in sinister tones. Long and thin arms that ended in bony hands and long nails. Faces that were thin and bird-like, with long skinny noses that resembled beaks. They looked and smelled like corpses, but they weren't. Hands grabbed my uncle and dragged him down the stairs. He screamed and kicked, but they held him high in the air. He begged for mercy, to die quickly and in peace. We knew the stories, him and I. His death would not be peaceful, and he would not stay dead. He would come back as one of these monsters and join their flock. The creatures screamed as they opened their mouths wide, exposing sharp red teeth. Two even grabbed me and held me down, and told me I would be next. I never heard my uncle pray or ask forgiveness, but that night he did. As I said before, I loved my uncle. I don't know what life he led before me, but no one deserves his fate. So the answer and the decision was obvious. I called to them and told them to take me instead. Let my uncle die a peaceful death. He deserved that. Now I could lie and say it was peaceful and painless, but it was not. I was torn apart, my body and soul. I was in so much pain, I could not even cry or fight back. All I heard was the sound of them ripping my flesh, tearing open my chest, feeding on my heart, and tearing out my soul. The soul they tore apart and fed on. Every single one. So what happened next? There were no pearly gates, nor was there fire and smoke. Just blackness and a hunger. But a hunger like I've never felt before. A maddening feeling that consumed my every thought, the every fiber of my being. I knew I had to feed. I rose to my feet and found some cattle nearby. Their meat was tasty, their blood too. But the soul did not satisfy me as I had hoped. I felt no pain, no regret, nothing but this undying hunger. A man found me. His last mistake. He even shot me with a shotgun, but I didn't feel it. I leaped up and fell upon him, ripping and tearing with inhuman strength. His bones broke. His skin tore. His heart still pumping blood. But I won his soul. I fed on it, and it filled me, quieted my hunger. And I knew what peace was at last. That's when I heard the calling above. The black mass in the sky. They came on the western wind, on leather wings, and warned me to join them. They were my murderers. But now We were one and the same. So I flew up to them. Let the hunt begin. Welcome to the Shadowlands.